So sorry about what
Good job,
happened
Megan.
to your dad. How's he
Thank
doing
you.
today?
He's doing well. The guy's incredibly strong. I mean, you've known him forever, right? He's a warrior. I spoke to him immediately after it happened. I was one of the first people I knew, and he was in okay spirits. But honestly, I'm almost not, right. I'm sick and tired of seeing people try and take his lives. It's this second time in 5 weeks that this has been allowed to happen. Butler was an utter failure. You've done, I think, a better job, probably, Megan, than anybody on reporting on that. It should never happened. I mean, what happened there is just it's a breakdown of government in the worst possible ways. And then obviously you see what happened yesterday, and yesterday was ultimately a success, right? They got the guy ahead of time. They found out where he was, and they saved somebody from utter catastrophe. But this has to stop. This has to stop. We can't allow people with AR-15s, with AK-47s within 300 yards of the president. It has to stop. We have to do a better job. There's only so many kind of proverbial lives that you have before, guess what? You don't get so lucky. He got incredibly lucky, and Faith was definitely with him, 5 weeks ago. But it's only so many times you get lucky, and this isn't funny anymore. I mean, and I just want everybody to understand they are trying to kill him, Megan. They are trying to kill him, and it's one of the things that drives me crazy when you see Kamala on the debate stage. This man's a threat to democracy. It's there's only one person that they're going after, and they're going after him viciously, and they've gone after him in every single way. They've gone after him legally. They tried to impeach him. They tried to take him off the ballot in states. They tried to take him off the ballot in Colorado and Maine. They've gone after his family. They've gone after all of us thousands of times. Megan, I'm probably the most subpoenaed person in the history of the country, and I've never done a damn thing wrong. They've done everything they could. They've weaponized, the judicial system, DAs, AGs. They've gone after him civilly. And now twice in 5 weeks, as we approach 50 days, away from election day, they've tried to kill him. And they will stop at absolutely nothing. They are trying to kill him, Megan, and it's deeply scary. And we government better do a good job protecting him. And sometimes I worry that they're not.
Yeah, I'm understandably, and for good reason. May I ask, how did you find out the news yesterday?
Yeah. I had a dear friend who was actually in the sheriff's department who ended up calling me because, obviously it went across the radio. So, as soon as shots were fired, he called me saying, hey, you might want to figure out what the hell's going on. It looks like they just tried this for a second time. And so obviously I got on the phone, and, they were taking him off the course. And that's how I found out. But it's, coincidentally, I was driving south on 95. I actually took a personal video of the guy being arrested at the time. I mean, it's interesting how small the world can be at times, but I'm driving south on 95. The police chase was going north on 95. And literally I drive by all the helicopters and all the squad cars that are arresting the very man that, 15 minutes before tried to shoot my father. It's interesting how the world works, but thank God they got him. And now apparently he's in federal court laughing in front of the judge. So, that's the type of person that we're dealing with.
The reaction from the left last night, at least on the media, has been, there was an incident. That's what NBC reported. There was an incident at Trump's golf course. And, oh, by the way, let's get back to cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio, and Trump's irresponsible rhetoric. Did you see any of that in your reaction?
Yeah, that's part of the course for the media. I mean, we've obviously found out based on this whistleblower came forward with a signed affidavit that ABC gave the questions to Kamala Harris. I'd like to know where Bob Iger is on this whole thing. I mean, you want to talk about disgusting, and that's part of the course for the media. They may as well be, the PR arm of the Democratic Party. 100% of their coverage toward her is positive, despite the fact that she's the worst vice president in the history of this country, bar none. It's not even close. And despite the record my father had, they're 100% negative against him, and it's an absolute joke. Of course they want it, and you see all these reports in the vicinity. Shots were fired in the vicinity. All right, let me just break this down because I know this property better than any person on earth, maybe other than my father. I run these properties. You had a person who ran across a median, who ran across a massive lawn into massive palmetto bushes, effectively, was staged up against a fence 200 yards away from where my father was. He was on the fifth green. He was about to come down the sixth hole. This guy was in the middle of the sixth hole with body armor, GoPros, and a AK-47 on a fence line. Thank God the Secret Service saw him. And then it's, yes, a shooting in the vicinity of the president. I mean, they use every word that they possibly can to dumb down what this person was trying to do, which was to kill the 45th president of the United States, to extinguish him from this earth. And but that's part of the course. They don't want that story out there, right? They don't want this headline. They want to do everything they can to bolster Kamala's, campaign, which is not much of a campaign because, again, she's just a horrible candidate. But there was a meme going around, Megyn, that the Will Smith slap literally lasted longer than the coverage of Butler, Pennsylvania, and I think that's fairly accurate. And that's the media in this country today.
Mm-hmm. The thing that struck me yesterday was your dad has a few pastimes. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. So what does he do to burn off stress? And there must be a lot of it on him. He plays golf, which is a good thing to do. And now even that has been hampered by this would-be assassin. Now your dad's not going to be the same when he gets out. He's going to have to worry about whether somebody's trying to take his life. Is that, in your view, a Secret Service failure, an intelligence failure, a rhetoric failure by people who say he's Hitler? What do you think? What are you blaming today?
It's a question that pains me to answer. And there's really two sides of it, Megyn. The agents, and I know them. I know all the ones that were on the stage in Butler, Pennsylvania, and they did an awesome job. The ones on that stage did an awesome job. They would take a bullet for him. And there were ones on that stage who were with me for 3 years. I know them personally. They're personal friends of mine, right? There were people that were out there with him yesterday, and they did a phenomenal job. They got him off that course so quickly. As the first shot went out, they were pulling him off, and they did a hell of a job. But somebody's got to ask the question, what the hell's happening in the perimeter? What's happening in the perimeter? Frankly, if I was an agent, I'd be screaming from the rooftops, right? You're putting great agents who are doing phenomenal jobs and have acted perfectly in that situation, but yet something is failing on the outskirts where you've had somebody with a rifle in Butler, Pennsylvania, 130 yards, somebody died and he got hit in the ear. In this case, 200 to 300 yards away with an AK-47 propped up against a fence line. There's only so much that body people can do. And clearly somebody on the outskirts is failing this mission because that should not happen. And, I hope to God somebody does a deep dive. And it hurts me to say that because, again, the people who are around him are some of the greatest, finest people you'll ever meet in your entire life. I know them. I'm friends with them. I've known them for years. And they would take a bullet and they, would die for him. And many of them, based on the incompetence, frankly, Megyn, have almost. They're in the line of fire. In Butler, there's multiple shots that went at. Any single one of them could have gotten killed. What is going on with the perimeter that's supposed to be around our world leaders? How can this possibly happen? 130 yards is a chip shot. I did a lot of competitive shooting. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do. That's like making a 4-inch putt. 300 yards with a modern day rifle. This is not ask any person who hunts deer. Ask any person who's an outdoorsman. 300 yards with a modern day rifle. These are not hard shots. And yet it's happened, twice in the last 5 weeks? We better rethink our tactics. And on every side, every person who is a political protectee in this country, we better rethink our tactics because whatever the hell we're doing right now, Megyn, it's not working. It's not working. And there's not going to be too many more chances before somebody gets awfully lucky because these aren't hard shots.
One word on that ABC affidavit to which you referred. We're actually going to take a deep dive into that later in the show. ABC hasn't responded to our requests on whether they want to deny any of these allegations, nor has Speaker Johnson hasn't weighed in. Allegedly, he got the letter from this whistleblower. But we are going to take a deep dive into whether, in fact, there's reason to believe they cheated on that debate, that they gave Kamala Harris, explicitly unfair advantages, sample questions, and so on, just so the audience knows. Can I ask you this? Because right now, in the wake of the second attempt on your dad's life, we have President Biden, Vice President Harris saying the right things about, no one should be subjected to political violence, and, this is wrong. And yet there seemed to be absolutely no accountability, nor was there any shift in tone from Kamala Harris, who's now the nominee, after the first assassination attempt. The rhetoric has been at a boiling point consistently from their side, not just about politics and who should run the country, but about how evil your dad is. So do you accept their statements today that they're very sorry about what happened and that really this should never happen?
No, I don't accept their statements, Megyn, and not at all. Before Butler, Pennsylvania, 2 days before, Biden had a truth or an X up saying that we should put the president in the quote unquote crosshairs. You've done a better job than anybody going back. Look at Maxine Waters' comments. Look at it, right? You kick them when they're down. You kick them again. You hit them hard. You hit them when they're down. They are the most violent people in the world. The bullets are only going one way here.
Imagine waking up one day to find out your home no longer belongs to you. that someone somewhere has stolen your property right out from under you. It sounds unthinkable, but it is a sad reality for some American homeowners and a risk for anyone that owns property. House stealing, that's what the FBI calls it. And it's a form of real estate fraud where scammers leverage loopholes in the system to fraudulently transfer your home's title into their name, then take out loans against your property or even sell it behind your back. And by the time you find this out, the scammer's long gone, leaving you, the legitimate homeowner, to clean up the mess. But right now, triple lock protection is available through HomeTitleLock.com, offering 24/7 title monitoring, alerts, and restoration services. You can sign up today at HomeTitleLock.com and use the promo code Megyn for 30 days of protection for free and a comprehensive title scan to make sure that you're not already a victim of this kind of thing. It's promo code Megyn and HomeTitleLock.com or just by using the link below. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.